Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and remember that context is everything. These are the notes that I spend a half hour typing every day, and now we're going to go over them for the chapter, an Ambient Classroom, the series where I read this textbook cover to cover so that I can have some historical context of which I can speak of other things upon. I don't fully believe that everything in this textbook is accurate, but I do believe that understanding what we're taught as children, which this is one of the books that you're taught as a child, high school as a child, this will serve as a good context point, a good baseline for understanding the situations that we're in today as a society. Because what we're told, what we're indoctrinated in, is an important thing to understand. So what I'm going to do today, since we just finished chapter 11 in the readings yesterday, is I'm going to read all of my notes. This is the chapter 11 review. Ding 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 ding. That would be a graphic that says chapter 11 review. So let's start with chapter 11, section 1. Okay. Chapter 11, section 1. Islam. Introduction to Islam. Islam emerged in the Arabian Peninsula, which is mostly desert, with farming possible in scattered oases. An oasis is a fertile area in a desert, watered by nature in a well or a spring. The Prophet Muhammad was born in Mecca around 570 AD and led an apparently normal life of a merchant until the age of 40. Muhammad, at the age of 25, married Khadijah, who ran a prosperous caravan business. He was a devoted father and husband by all accounts, Muhammad was. Troubled by idol worship and moral ills of society, he went off to a desert cave to meditate. This happened around the age of 40. This happened around his age of 40, Muhammad, that is. In his meditation, he heard a voice of God, and it said, "Recite the name of your God, the Creator, who created man from clots of blood." Muhammad interpreted this voice to be the voice of Angel Gabriel, the same angel who came to the Virgin Mary to tell her that she was pregnant with Jesus in Christian Bible tradition. So the same angel. Terrified and puzzled, Muhammad, who was an illiterate merchant, accepted this divine call. His wife, oh God in heaven. I clicked away. I'm sorry, folks. Muhammad was strongly encouraged by his wife, Khadijah, to follow his prophecy that he heard in his dream, and she was the first convert to Islam. Primary teachings at the dawn of Islam encouraged Arabs to give up their false gods and submit to the one true God, the same God from Christian and Jewish traditions. Threatened with the threat of murder, he and his followers fled from Mecca in 622 and left for Yathrib, which was later renamed Medina, or City of the Prophet, a journey known as the Hijra. In 622, the first year of Muslim calendar was set. That's when they left Mecca. In Medina, Muhammad was welcomed by Muslim converts, not only as a prophet, but also as the ruler and lawgiver. Muslims launched attacks on Meccan caravans and defeated Meccans in battle. In 630, Muhammad returned in triumph to Mecca, where he destroyed idols at the Kiba, or Kaaba rather, an ancient shrine that is believed to have been built by a biblical prophet, Abraham. Muhammad died in 632 after his 2 years back at Mecca. The 5 pillars of Islam, like the 10 Commandments in Christianity. And Judaism too, right? The 5 pillars of Islam. There is no God but God. Muhammad is the messenger of God. Daily prayer facing the holy city of Mecca. Giving charity to the poor. Fasting from sunrise to sunset during the holy month of Ramadan. the Hajj, or pilgrimage to Mecca, which all able-bodied Muslims are expected to do at least once in their lives. The Quran, the Muslim holy text, was written in Arabic, and converts to Islam are expected to learn Arabic in order to read the unfiltered original words. The word jihad is defined in this textbook, which was published in 2001 before the Twin Towers were struck by planes, and we heard a different definition of jihad because we were being indoctrinated by the media. The word jihad is defined as effort in God's service, which includes acts of charity, the inner struggle to achieve spiritual peace, and holy war in the defense of Islam. This textbook that I'm reading was published in 2001 for the 2001 school year, which in the south of the United States starts in August, and in the north it starts in September. So that means that this textbook was fully written before 9/11, 2001. Sharia law was established by Muslim scholars via interpretation of the Quran. In Islamic countries, there is no separation of church and state. In its origin, Islam made the region safer for women by prohibiting the killing of unwanted daughters, as well as guaranteeing a woman's share of her parents' or husband's inheritance. I'm going to read the definition for jihad again. The word jihad is defined as effort in God's service, which includes acts of charity, the inner struggle to achieve spiritual peace, and holy war. Okay, that is section 1. Section 2 of chapter 11 is Islam spreads. Successors to Muhammad were called caliphs, and caused a division in Islam by the mere fact that they were not the prophet with direct connection to God. To this point, the first caliph, Abu Bakr, sternly stated, "If you worship Muhammad, Muhammad is dead. If you worship God, God is alive." In spite of this division, followers of Islam united and began dominant military conquests. They conquered great chunks of the Byzantine Empire, including the provinces of Syria and Palestine, with cities in Damascus and Jerusalem. Next, they rapidly demolished Persian Empire and then swept into Egypt. By 711 AD, Arab armies crossed the Strait of Gibraltar into Spain and pushed north into France, where they were defeated at the Battle of Tours. Muslim rulers in Spain presided over brilliant courts where the arts and learning thrived. At centers of this learning, such as in the city of Cordoba, rulers employed Jewish officials and welcomed Christian scholars to study science and philosophy. Architects built grand buildings such as the Alhambra, a stronghold palace in Granada. Muslim civilizations also thrived in Sicily and other Mediterranean islands and were seized by Arab forces in the late 800s. Sunni and Shiites and Sufis. These are the three traditions in Islam. Below are short summaries of their values. Please note, they all believe in the same God. Look to the Quran for guidance and make the Hajj, which is the pilgrimage into Mecca. The Sunni felt that the caliph should be chosen by leaders of the Muslim community. They also viewed the successor to Muhammad to be a leader and not a religious authority. The Shiites argued that the only true successor to the prophet were descendants of Muhammad's daughter and son-in-law, Fatima and Ali. The Shiites believed that the descendants of the prophet were divinely inspired. Muhammad's son-in-law Ali became the fourth caliph, but was assassinated in 661 in a struggle for leadership. Later, his son also was killed. Many other Shiites died in battle against Sunni, trying to install their candidates for caliph. Shiites grew to admire martyrdom as a demonstration of their faith. Martyrdom is dying for a cause you believe in, generally spiritual. Sufi, a third tradition in Islam, emerged with the Sufis, Muslim mystics who sought communion with God through meditation, fasting, and other rituals. Umayyad family set up a dynasty and ruled the Islamic world from 661 to 750. From their capital in Damascus in Syria, they directed the spectacular conquests that carried Islam from the Atlantic to the Indus Valley. Many Muslims criticized the court at Damascus for abandoning the simple ways of early caliphs. Shiites hated the Umayyads because they had defeated Ali and killed his son, dishonoring the Prophet Muhammad's family. Abbasids, led by Abu al-Abbas, captured Damascus in 750. So, Umayyads 661 to 750, the Abbasids 750 to 1258. The Abbasids. Soon after they defeated the Umayyads in 750 in Damascus, one of Abu al-Abbas's generals invited members of the defeated Umayyad family to a banquet. And you know what he did? He killed all of them. Abu al-Abbas founded the Abbasid Dynasty, which lasted from 750 to 1258. Under the Abbasid Dynasty, the empire of the caliphs reached its greatest wealth and power, and Muslim civilization enjoyed a golden age. Abbasid Caliph al-Mansur chose Baghdad as his new capital. Baghdad, a modern-day Iraq, was known as City of Peace, Gift of God, and Paradise on Earth. The city of Baghdad reached its peak under Caliph Harun al-Rashid from 786 to 809. Beginning in 850, Abbasid control over the Arab Empire fragmented. In Spain, Egypt, and elsewhere, independent dynasties ruled separate Muslim states. Civil wars erupted, and Shiite rulers took over parts of the empire. Between 900 and 1400, a series of invasions added to the chaos. Seljuk Turks migrated into Middle East from Central Asia. By 1055, the Seljuk Sultan took control of Baghdad and left Abbasid Caliph as a figurehead. Reports of Seljuk interference with Christian pilgrims traveling to Jerusalem led the Pope Urban II in 1095 to call for the First Crusade. In 1258, Hulagu, grandson of Genghis Khan, burned and looted Baghdad, killed the last Abbasid Caliph. Later, Mongols adopted Islam themselves. As the 1200s drew to a close, the Arab Empire had fragmented and fallen. After 5 centuries of relative unity, the Muslim world was politically divided, just as Europe, that is Christian. Chapter 11.3, Chapter 11, Section 3, Golden Age of Muslim Civilization. Starting in 830, Abbasid Caliph al-Mamun, prompted by a vivid dream, set up the House of Wisdom, a library and university in Baghdad. Islam absorbed traditions from many cultures, and in the process, flourishing cities arose from Damascus to Cairo to Cordoba, and later to Delhi in India. Society and economy. Muslim rulers united people from diverse cultures, including Arabs, Persians, Egyptians, and other African Europeans. Later, Mongols, Turks, Indians, and other people in Southeast Asia declared their faith as Islam. As in most developing empires, slavery was a common institution in the cities of the Muslim world. There were some rules, though. Muslims could not be enslaved, and conversion to Islam as a slave would free your children. Women slaves who married their owners would also gain freedom. Slaves could also buy their freedom. Merchants were honored in the Muslim world, in part because Muhammad had been a merchant himself. The quote is, "Couriers of the horizon and God's trusted servants on earth." Those are the merchants. Between 750 and 1350, merchants built vast trading networks across the Muslim world and beyond, spreading Islam peacefully in their wake. Camel caravans known as the ships of the desert brought them to West Africa. Other traders traveled the Silk Road to China, and monsoon winds carried Arab ships from East Africa to India. They also created banks with branches so money could be exchanged. If you had an account in Baghdad, for example, you could access your funds in Cairo with an ancient check called a sak, S-A-K-K, ancient check that could be transferred money so you wouldn't have to carry money around, which is dangerous because people could easily take gold. Artisans produced masterful textile, glasswork, furniture, and tapestries. With fertile lands all around the Arab world and savvy farming and irrigation techniques, herbs, spices, and flowers bolstered their mercantile expertise. Arts and literature. In Islam, idol worship was strictly prohibited. This means no paintings or representations could be made of God or Muhammad, as they would be seen as idols. As a result, Muslims decorated their mosques or places of worship with arabesque, an intricate design composed of curved lines that suggest floral shapes. This was used in rugs, textiles, and glassware. They also perfected the art of calligraphy or beautiful handwriting. Domed mosques and high minarets dominated Muslim cities, in the same way that cathedral spires dominated medieval Christian cities. A strong theme in Muslim poetry was reflecting on the nomadic lifestyle. Omar Khayyam meditates with an interesting quote, which I'll list here. This is the quote. "The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on, nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears wash out a word of it." Meaning you can't backspace back then because they used ink. Meaning what you wrote is written. Meaning what you've done is done. Move on, I think. The 1001 Nights is also known as the Arabian Nights, and it is a collection of tales narrated by a fictional princess, Shirshazazah. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm not going to stumble through it. It starts with an S-C-H. This collection includes romances, fables, adventures, and humorous anecdotes. It also includes Aladdin and his magic lamp. Cultural appropriation? No. But definitely a good moneymaker. The world of learning. Boys and girls were provided with elementary education. This training emphasized reading and writing, especially the study of the Quran. Institutions of higher learning included schools for religious instruction and for the study of Islamic law. Centers of learning were Baghdad, Cairo, Bukhara, Timbuktu, and Cordoba. In all of these places, Muslim scholars made advances in philosophy, mathematics, medicine, and other fields. The philosopher Ibn Khaldun urged historians to trust sources only after thorough investigation. In the 800s, the greatest Muslim mathematician was Al-Khwarizmi. He wrote a book that was later translated into Latin and became a standard mathematics textbook in Europe. Al-Khwarizmi was also an astronomer and observed from Baghdad in Central Asia, Muslims, astrologers, and eclipse, whatever. He had a good estimation of the circumference of the earth. Pretty accurate, within a few thousand feet, whatever. Under the caliphs, physicians and pharmacists had to pass tests before they could practice their profession. The government also set up hospitals with a sort of emergency room. "Treat the mind as well as the body," Muhammad al-Razi echoed. He valued good... I gotta write less notes. This is absurd. This is useless information. I do not care who that man is. I do not care, Sam I am. And he also was using mercury. Why am I reading about this guy? He was using mercury to heal people. That's not what you're supposed to do. That is not good for you. Mercury is very bad. And he was using that. Why am I writing that down? This is on me. I shouldn't write down these stupid notes. Okay, moving on. Chapter 11.4. Here we are. This is Muslim influence on India. Oh, God in heaven, this stupid Siri turned on for some reason. After the Gupta Empire fell in about 550, India again fragmented into many local kingdoms. Rival princes battled for control of the northern plain. Despite power struggles, Indian culture flourished, with Hindu and Buddhist rulers building magnificent temples. And if you think that I'm being too hard on myself about writing too many notes, can you give me a comment telling me that they're useful? Or can you give me a comment saying, yes, you are writing too many notes? Because honestly, it would help to have some input. And you don't have to give me input. But if you're going to say, no, don't be hard on yourself, type it out. Why not? Add a comment. It's not going to bother me. I'll just like it. I'm not even going to respond. No social obligation there. By 1000 AD, Muslim Turks and Afghans pushed into India. At first, they were adventurers like Mahmud, who pillaged from the north. However, in the late 1100s, the Sultan of Ghur defeated Hindu armies across the northern plain. From there, he and his successors would lead the Sultanate, or be sultans, in the capital of Delhi, which lasted from 1206 to 1526. During Mongol raids of Baghdad in 1200s, many scholars fled from the Middle East to India, bringing Persian and Greek learning to India. In 1398, a Mongol leader named Tamerlane invaded India. Thousands of artisans were enslaved to build Tamerlane's capital at Samarkand. Delhi slowly recovered, but the Sultan no longer controlled the empire. And northern India again fragmented into rival Hindu and Muslim states. Why do the Hindus and Muslims rival? At its worst, the Muslim conquests of northern India inflicted disaster on Hindus and Buddhists. The widespread destruction of Buddhist monasteries contributed to the drastic decline of Buddhism as a major religion in India. Hindus may have many gods. Hindus have many gods and venerate statues. Muslims have one god and consider statues and paintings to be idol worship. Hindus accept different caste statuses and honor Brahmins as the priestly caste. Muslims taught that the equality of all believers before God is important, and there's no religious hierarchy. Hindus celebrated religious occasions with music and dance, a practice that many strict Muslims condemned. During the Delhi Sultanate, a growing number of Hindus converted to Islam. Some lower caste Hindus, to elevate their status, some lower class Hindus converted to Islam. Where am I? Some other people converted because they actually believed in Islam more than they did their Muslim faith. And some other people converted to Islam because they worked in the government, the Muslim government, and they needed to be a Muslim, Islamic, to be in the government. That was some reasons for conversion. Mughal India. Oh, yeah, another thing. An Indian holy man, Nanak, sought to blend Islamic and Hindu beliefs. He preached the unity of God and brotherhood of man, and the rejection of caste and the futility of idol worship. His teachings led to the rise of a new religion, Sikhism, in northern India. They would later organize the military and clash with powerful Indian rulers. Mughal India. This is a powerful dynasty. From 1526, Turkish and Mongol invaders again poured through the mountain passes in India. At their head rode Babur, who claimed to be the descendant of Genghis Khan and Tamerlane. I'm not going to read all of these notes. Yeah, la-da-da-da-da. Akbar, son of Jangar, weaker leader than his father. I don't really care. Moving on. You can read it yourself. Muslim and Ottoman Safavid empires. You know what? That's it. Have a good day. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye. That's chapter 11. Chapter 12